Yes, you're tuned to Off the Ball, the most petty and ill-informed sports programme on radio. The week in Scottish football. It's International Women's Day. We have a test for you, a safe pair of hands, and later in the second part of the show, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm Stuart Cosgrove. He's Tom Cowan.
Now everybody say booster. Come on, say booster. Everybody, come on. Booster. Say booster. Call him, y'all. Call him. Booster. Everybody, come on. Booster. Booster. Say what? Booster. Booster. Wait a minute now.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to the show. So much to talk about, Tom. I want to start by saying you brought a tear to my eye this week. You said something, your father passed away, and you said, I think on your Instagram account, he had nothing, but he gave us everything. And I thought not only was it a very profound thought, I thought it was really moving. And it actually did bring a wee bit of tear to my eye, because I think it will resonate for lots and lots and lots of ordinary people in Scotland, working class people who grew up in households where there wasn't a lot of money, but that they were brought up with love and support and care and all the rest of it. We hear a lot about, you know, broken Scotland, the things that aren't working, but in lots of ways there's families that bring up their kids in ways that are just really remarkable. So
I know, it's almost like a different era. I mean, my dad was a storeman in the warehouses at Honeywell's.
I believe their shares went up this week.
Yes, I thought I better get that right away. My dad was a minor trope on this very show. First up, I must say, we're a listener down. I mean, that's the bad side of it, because my dad, of course, never missed the show. And even when we had the phone in, I wonder if you remember, we were slagging years ago when we took phone calls in the show, we were slagging players who wore gloves.
Yes.
And then the next thing we got a call from a Mr. Tam Cowan at Senior in Motherwell, and my dad pointed out, much to my amusement, and I was horrified really, that the fact that I indeed used to wear gloves
at
when I played with the BB, you know, so I was ahead of my time in that respect. But yeah, my dad did his, there was so many folk, particularly around about my age, who recall that of their own fathers, that, you know, they might not have had stacks of money, but in that they did have, they made sure that you got it, you know, and you always get your wee well, thinking back now, how the hell did we get holidays? How did we manage that? How did we manage this? And it was great, but I have to say thanks to the many off the ball listeners who got in touch. I get loads and loads of emails. It was the emails, and I thought, how does that work? And then what I didn't realise, as much as I'm never off Instagram, in there I've got my email.
You got your messenger.
So you can. So that's how folk were getting directly. And at least 7 people said. At least 7 people all went with the same gag that you touched on there, likely, Stuart.
Yeah.
And they said, Tam, the one thing is, if they pearly gates are a bit wobbly, you're daft of the gaffer tape to fix them. So that was a running gag for a while. My dad was prone to fail. Want to be on, quotes, Council Telly. Stuart hates that phrase.
It's
beat Rangers. St Mirren went there and beat Rangers. It's absolutely
Is there
bonkers.
something in the theory that Ibrox, that the fans get too impatient too quickly?
Well, maybe there is. And you know what? Well, that maybe somebody... Well, Barry Ferguson, he's the guy who can speak to the fans. He's absolutely got the fans' ear. Maybe Barry should state that. Barry, if you're tuned in, and say to him, right, listen, guys, we think we've cracked it. Stuart Cosgrove said it on the radio the day. You're right. The players are a wee bit panicky at home.
Yeah.
Because we're maybe they watch Celtic. We've always said the cliche with Celtic, you know, is, and you're thinking, oh, it must be tedious watching them. They go play whoever they're playing at home, they score maybe the 8th minute, Maeda, and then you're ready for a sleep, right?
Aye.
Rangers haven't had that approach at all, right?
No.
So maybe that is a big issue. So maybe Barry's got to get the be patient motto.
Well,
out of him.
you say Barry, but I've got to say I have a soft spot for the former St Johnstone goalkeeper Griegsy.
All right.
Alan McGregor, who's the goalkeeper coach.
A safe pair of hands. We're talking about
we're
that.
going to be
What was
talking
his record at St Johnstone?
Well, I think he still holds the
Club
record for
aye.
consecutive shutouts.
Right.
So, in other words, that it was the Owen Coyle era, and we had him on loan for Rangers. He's a young goalie at the time.
So he's another guy who'll get lampooned, of course.
Oh, he's a joke figure.
You know, Stephen A. Smith getting pilloried by Rangers fans for walking away, and of course the winning date with Alan McGregor.
No,
he walked away, but of course he came back. Yeah, and you would have been lighter on him then when he was doing the two-fingered salute.
You know what? The thing about it is, we always say this: football fans are fickle.
Aye.
They're hypocrites.
Oh, absolutely.
They can see the good in somebody that plays for them.
Aye.
But if somebody else does it, a good example would be Murray. His own goal last night for Dundee against for Hearts.
For Hearts.
Playing
Against Dundee,
for
3-1.
Dundee.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about it is, this morning, my texts and emails and that were full of Murray jokes. The guy scored the goal only last Saturday for Dundee, which stopped St Johnstone winning the game.
Aye. I don't think the over a piece you'd have blamed that last night. The thing I took out of the game last night, and I'd like your thoughts on this, particularly the Jambos. I was a bit perplexed. Hearts 3, Dundee 1, a big Scottish Cup tie, right? Quarter final of the Scottish Cup last night. At the same time as Hearts were playing in the lower league against the Braves.
Yeah.
Now,
this is their B team.
Yeah. Now I know we've got little regard.
Well, I just think
zero
stop all
regard.
that. Stop it.
But all I'm thinking that last night was RMD kind of tied up a wee bit with us. I've never known that to happen. Now we know that once upon a time, Stuart, in the old reserve days when it was a proper reserve league, if it was Motherwell against Aberdeen, the big teams 3:00 on a Saturday at Fir Park, they would reverse that, and it would be Aberdeen reserves against Motherwell reserves 3:00 at Pittodrie, right?
Yeah.
But this is different. We're only jumping down one league for the senior leagues, if you like. Now, I'm guessing that in that
Hearts have brought at least, I can think, 2, maybe 3 players from their B team into the first team.
Aye. So how many even guys playing in the Hearts B team last night are Jambo mad? Would actually even like to have been at Tynecastle to watch Coates, the big team. How many dads, mums, sisters, wives whose husbands, boyfriends, brothers, whatever, sons were in that game last night in the Lowland League would have loved to have been at the big game.
Aye.
But that's the relative playing in that game, and they had to turn their back on their team. I've just never known anything like it. I don't know if I'm making too much of it, but to have Hearts against Dundee on the same night at the same time, 7:45, as Hearts B against Braves.
Yeah, it's very odd.
And see if you can solve that one for us. The last one I want to do in the football, and then we'll go back to a safe pair of hands. There's so much to talk about. Give us your take on Rangers, Fenerbahce, or Fenerbahce if you prefer. I've heard it both ways this week. Even if you could even repeat the story about Jose Mourinho saying, yes, he would coach in Scotland. What a lot, I mean, you've got, the guys just try to be nice. A room full of press guys. Jose, would you go to Rangers or Celtic? What
yes,
these are turn around.
Yeah.
Scotland, have you seen
joking,
that? I've seen train spotting out and near the place. Of course he's not going to say that.
No.
But anyway, you can have your take in that. Motherwell, last week, we've been basking in the glory of that for a while, the 2-1 win at Ibrox. Scotland games are going to be on, quotes, Council Telly. Stuart hates that phrase.
It's patronising.
And they're going to be on the BBC. And that's it. So kicking off, if you like.
See, I would like to see a social analysis of that. How many council houses have pay-per-view TV? And they pay for it. How many of them have bent fire sticks?
I know. There's maybe another phrase is needed, another bit of terminology.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is the Scotland games are going to be on BBC Scotland, which is great news. And starting with the double header against Greece, which is imminent. The games are on the Thursday and the Sunday, the 2 legs against Greece. And we, of course, will get an early plug in. As with all the Scotland games now, there'll be an off-the-ball special after each match. So look out for that.
If we win them, what happens?
No idea. Now, I'm looking. We're going to get Kenny McIntyre on that.
Explain that.
Exactly, right. Do we go straight into the World Cup final? I mean, they're next year now.
I know.
It's not far away, and we're going to come on to that a wee bit in terms of the music at the World Cup final in 2026. One other wee thing, Stuart, that I want our listeners to solve. I think Off the Ball could solve this today, and it's really annoying me. Game, huge scoreline in midweek. PSV 1, Arsenal 7. And the way I read the report on the BBC website, the first paragraph said, words to the effect of, Arsenal take a commanding lead into the second leg.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, you know what? Surely it's 2025. Surely we can find a way to wipe out that fixture, that second leg. It is utterly, utterly pointless. Even if you want to start with the carbon footprint with the PSV players flying into London for that, we could wipe out that for a start. Folk will say, but folk have already bought their tickets, Tam. So what? In this day and age, give them a refund. What about the sponsors? Well, sort out something with them as well.
Well, the sponsors could step forward and say, we're cancelling this game.
Well, imagine the sponsor says...
you know what? We're cheating people.
You know what? We are... And I don't know that many folk are going to tune into this. As much as we thought it'd be great having our company name plastered all over the billboards and that round the ground, I don't think anybody's going to be watching.
You know what could be a solution? The great PSV team of the early 70s, when Dutch football was its absolute prime, playing the Arsenal team of the early 70s. For part 2.
Yeah, there's all the... that's a great shout.
Yeah.
All the great players of yesteryear.
Yeah.
And the date mere is just a wee challenge match. They have a written agreement beforehand, just in case PSV sneaked it, 6 or 7-0. That the game's done. Then Arsenal, the proper team, are into the next round. Has anybody got any other thoughts on that? I just think it's an absolute farce in this day and age to even contemplate a second leg. I hate.
And the other thing about it is, if they apply the rules, you know how there's this kind of early primary school thing where you're not allowed to announce that the game was more than 6-1. And you can't say who the scorers were.
So that should be given as a 7 each rather than 7-1.
Exactly. Encourage PSV.
There's any PE teachers hanging about. I mean, I just think it's ridiculous, right? But give us your take on that. Scottish Cup weekend, Hearts beat Dundee 3-1 last night. I'm wondering now, Hearts, are you cheering for Hibs tomorrow? Hibs will be supported by 7,000 fans at Celtic Park. The bottom line is Celtic still look invincible in domestic football. Are you
the Hibs fans no sing another song for the Proclaimers album.
I know.
There's about 6 songs.
I'm wondering if they're diluting the impact of it. Seems that they're singing it after every game now. Now, I get goosebumps. We were sitting in this studio when they beat Rangers in the cup final, and we had goosebumps listening to it at Hampden. But if they keep singing it and keep singing it and keep, you know what I mean?
Debases it.
I know. But anyway, hey, who are we to say the club can do no wrong the now? The Hibs fans are having an absolute time of it. But I just wonder, Hearts fans, you've got to be looking, because we don't know how the draw is going to work out, you've got to be looking, I'm assuming, for Hibs to do a wee turn for you at Celtic. And I'll tell you, if it boiled down to another Edinburgh final, I'd be glued to whoever played. But Aberdeen Queen's Park kicks off in the next few minutes. We will be keeping you absolutely aware of everything that happens at Pittodrie. Queen's Park, of course, beat Rangers in the last round at Ibrox. Can they pull off another shock up at Pittodrie? And then, Stuart, looks like a tricky wee... Don't get me wrong, it looks like it's got 0-0 written all over it. But Livy against St Johnstone.
Well, do you know what? Simo Valakari's been out doing the bit. And actually, it's quite interesting. He's also challenged Davy Martindale. He thinks Martindale's up to the tricks, watering only one half of the pitch. And the pace on the ball, apparently, because it's obviously AstroTurf. he thinks that Livingston are playing tricks. So we'll see how it works out.
But again, I think you're a wee bit under the radar there. So are Livy.
Yeah.
Livy on a great run in that championship, which is brilliant. They've sneaked in there to the quarter-finals. Nobody talking about Livy. And, they've got to fancy their chances at Amos St Johnstone, of course
Yeah,
they
of
will.
course they have.
And then they could win to the
So it's
semi-final.
bottom of the Premiership plays top
We
of the
could be
Championship.
looking yet at a Queen's Park Livy Scottish Cup final.
You could be.
You never know. Right, all the football's
Or
fine.
it could be a premonition for the playoffs.
Oh, it could be.
Livy comes second in the Championships
Yeah.
and St Johnstone's second bottom of the league. That would need Dundee to keep falling.
Right, loads of football stuff there. A safe pair of hands. That was in the back. Allison, the Liverpool goalie. And I watched that. And again, when I'm looking at the Arsenal game, the first leg of any cup tie, I can normally leave, right? But I did enjoy that game the other night. Allison said he had the performance of his life. And we're talking about a safe pair of hands, and the difference it makes, because the PSG goalie, who I'm just immediately guessing because it's PSG, cost, 150 zillion pounds, right?
Aye.
And he flapped it, man, and let it in.
Aye.
You think, at that level. Now, Allison, the stats after about 80 minutes when they come up on the screen, I think it was something like PSG had 76% possession, and it was remarkable. They'd something like 25 shots on goal to Liverpool's 1.
Yeah.
But because of that safe pair of hands that Allison had, they were able to sneak the 1-0 win to take back to Anfield. So, and I was sitting because we've got the big St Andrew's Hospice sports dinner the night, and I've got Ian Duran and Neil Lennon, who are very kindly going to help out the hospice tonight.
Oh,
and
balance, huh?
Oh,
Balance.
no, absolutely. I would love to think that for a charity in North Lanarkshire, held in a North Lanarkshire hotel, that I could have got Wally Pettigrew and Dougie Arnott to
No
do it.
chance.
But you've got to appeal to the sponsors, you've got to appeal to the football public at large. But both guys were only too happy to help out a fabulous charity. And I watched that then when we were having a chat about the event tonight. I watched that game in the company of Neil Lennon, and it was him that put me onto that. He was absolutely raving about Allison and absolutely hammered the PSG goal. And he says, I can't believe for a club like that, who have got, the wealth that football clubs would only ever have been able to dream about, you need to start with a goalie. And he was absolutely waxing lyrical, of course, about Fraser Forster.
Yeah.
At Celtic. He says you need to start and you need to have that safe pair
The
of
spine
hands.
of the team.
And you said that the Dundee fans were talking a fair bit now about Trevor Carson. right?
I've seen lots of reports saying if they hadn't had Carson, they'd be doing already. I mean, that's exaggeration, but he's had a good season, and he's certainly broke our hearts a couple
See,
of
we had a
times.
period like that with Liam Kelly, who got the Player of the Year at Motherwell season before last, and it was like, where would we have been? Folk almost start adding up the points,
Aye.
and remember what saves were made. And that's, we would have been unbothered.
Aye.
The safe pair of hands.
Well, I'm going to link two of our conversations there. We talked about, is there an alternative to Sunshine on Leith in the Proclaimers album that Hibs fans could sing? There's actually a track on it. It's about Kilmarnock. And the line is, they could save a lot of points by signing Hibs goalie. Who was Hibs goalie when Sunshine on Leith album came out?
Oh, there's a good shout. Right, here's one for the Hibs fans. When the Sunshine on Leith album, could it have been Gorham?
Could have been, I don't know.
But Burridge. When would Sunshine on Leith have come out, the album?
80,
Mid to 80,
84, 85?
I think it was a wee bit. Right, okay. Right, you know what? We'll not even mention that any further.
Yeah.
That's one for the Hibs fans, right? When Sunshine and Leith came out, who was the Hibs goalie? 80295 in the text. You can email off the ball at bbc.co.uk. All the stuff for the week's football, right? We've mentioned it all there. The safe pair of hands, give us your take on that. And we're talking about in other walks of life as well. I mean, we have a safe pair of hands operating the desk for us today here, Stuart. But I remember years ago, and off the ball, we went through a wee phase. I think they were breaking in some new engineers, shall we say.
It was their B team, apprentice apprentices.
And they were thinking, well, we can't put them on Sports Sound.
Oh, no, of
that's
course not.
That's the flagship. We'll chuck them into Off the Ball, you know. And we had a wee couple of hairy moments a few weeks in the bounce with the programme no getting out on air, with us hearing echoey stuff through our headphones. And always remember, a safe pair of hands.
Yeah.
And I didn't even ever know this guy's second name, Max.
Aye.
We came in here, MD for the BBC, and here we'll recall, and Max had been operating desks forever. And he
It was like a motorbike. He'd just sit down.
that way in the old airport or airplane films when they would phone in the guy that could bring in the plane safely.
Aye.
They would have called for Max, you know.
Yeah.
So that's a sort of safe pair of hands as well. So tell us about that. Might be somebody at your work that was just the safe pair of hands. When there's maybe a wee bit of pressure and there's a wee bit of a wobble.
Okay.
Who is that safe pair of hands?
Do you know what? I'm going to ask you, International Women's Day,
Yep.
set me a task.
Right, International Women's Day. Congratulations, girls. What we're doing is, in football terms, we're looking for a hat trick. So we're looking for a hat trick of women from all the listeners, boys and girls, on International Women's Day. So it's like your top 3 women, but we want one from football. Who is your all-time top woman from the world of football? Who is your top woman from the world at large? Could be an actress, it could be a singer. And who is the top woman in your life?
Wow.
Right, so
Okay.
there we go. Nominations for you. I'll go with my 3. I'm going to start with Leanne Dempster,
Yeah.
who was the first female chief executive in Scottish football. She worked absolute wonders at Fir Park, and even better, when she did leave, she allowed Alan Burrows to break through.
Yeah.
And that was a magnificent move. Number 2, the world at large. The funniest person. Here we go. I'm not looking for brownie points with Jermaine Greer here, but forget this sex and male and female now. One of the funniest people I have ever seen live was Joan Rivers.
Yeah.
Who I would put right up there with the very best of her male counterparts. It was in, I've seen her obviously non-stop in the telly and clips and videos and DVDs, but when I had the great fortune to see her live in Las Vegas about 15 years ago now, she was phenomenal. And I had that Billy Connolly thing. You know my theory in Billy Connolly, Stuart. I says, unlike every other comedian, in a Billy Connolly performance, you're guaranteed to have one moment when the tears are running down your eyes.
Yeah.
There's always one bit that gets you, right?
Yeah.
You can't say that for a lot of comedians. Joan Rivers got me in the same way that night. And I'm going to be a big crawler in terms of the International Women's Day. My inspiration is still my daughter, who's 14 now. And other dads out there will know that, you know, if you've got a daughter at 14, boy, so already had a good year out of being a teenager.
Aye.
And it's just getting better and better, and the wee bit of independence kicks in and everything, you know. But that'd be my 3. Leanne Dempster, Joan Rivers and Sophie Cowan. Right, your 3, Stuart.
I'm going to go...
Football.
I'm going to go Ife Dieke. She was the Nigerian Scots defender for the Scotland women's team for Cumbernauld. Right big tall girl and lots of caps for Scotland, probably near on 100 caps. And just seen her at her prime strolling through games. So I'm going to go for Ife.
Hang on, there's no way there's no a Perth connection here. What
No
is it?
Perth connection.
None?
Well,
Wow.
the only connection is Cumbernaulds about 40 mile from Perth.
Right,
that's all.
okay, right. Okay. World at large, a female.
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to...
Shock me here, shock me. I want a name you've never said. I'm not wanting Diana Ross. I'm not wanting Aretha Franklin.
Close.
Come on, who is it?
Esther Phillips, right? Now, the reason I'm going for Esther Phillips is she is the answer. I mean, she's done brilliant songs. Home is where the heart is, and home is where the hatred is. She's played around with great things, but fantastic singer with amazing voice. But she's the answer to the question: is there a cover version better than the original? You know that old game?
Yes.
And she did a cover version of Odyssey's Native New Yorker, and it's better than the original.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it, because Odyssey's
Brilliant.
Native New Yorker is one of my favourite.
And I think that
all-time
because
tracks.
the singer, the central singer...
What's her name?
Esther Phillips.
Right, I'm going to write that
And
down.
basically, because the Odyssey singer's a great singer, but it's actually at quite a kind of consistent level, Esther Phillips takes it everywhere. She's got a fantastic voice.
Right,
so-
and your own
and it's
life.
her version of Native
A
New
friend,
York.
a relative, a neighbour.
Well, it really has to be my Tamil wife Shirani Sabaratnam, and for the
Can you
reason
spell her surname?
I can indeed.
Go on,
yeah,
have a go, see if you get it right.
You know the thing about it.
No, no pausing. Come on, spell her surname.
Sabartnam. Sabaratnam.
We'll clip that later to see if you got it right. Right, there you go, you big
She was actually one of the first Asian presenters on the telly, but she always used to moan that they couldn't get her name on the auto cue.
Right, there you go.
Anyway,
Right, good old Shirani.
That
There we go.
is partly because
Right, so we
she
want your
saved my
hat
life.
trick for the Dear Off the Ball listeners on International Women's Day. We want your hat trick of top women. We want one for football, one from life at large for the entertainment world, anything at all, and one that is close to your own heart.
And can we also congratulate Elaine C. Smith today?
Freedom of the City of Glasgow. I think the last time that came up in this show was Kenny Dalglish had got it.
And, he can
other
take
than
goats across the Kingston, Bridge.
You can take sheep with. I think it's sheep.
Sheep, is it?
But there must be more practical things than that. But we are speaking as well about International Women's Day. Well done to Elaine C. Smith on that magnificent honour. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We'll quickly goodbye this before we have a chat with
We're
our
going
guest.
to do that in the second half. But
Great.
let's not forget that one of our guests today, Judith Ralston, would probably be, for International Women's Day, most of Scotland's favourite weather presenter.
Oh, controversial. There you go. There you go. I'm thinking you're already overlooking wee Callum.
Wee Callum's contract's come to an end.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
one for him.
An outrage.
Protests about outside. But anyway,
It's also the case, I don't know if you've noticed this, he's not a woman.
Well, but what was I going to say? So we've got Judith on the show. She's just in next door. We've got Grado, who is her partner in crime with Scotland's Greatest Escapes, which is coming back up on the telly. They'll tell us about that. I know the other thing, apart from, right, Coldplay, Chris Martin, he's been asked to do a set list or get the music for the World Cup final in 2026, which they're going to do. I'm just saying that just now. Don't make your faces at me.
I've told you 3 times we're doing that in the second part of the show.
And it allows the listeners to think about it and then join in the second half. Right, right, okay. And the team of the week, it seems remarkable. It's the 5th anniversary already of COVID. And the reason I remembered it right away is that Cheltenham, which I'm looking forward to, is on next week. Cheltenham went ahead 5 years ago. There's another expression, the super spreader. Because what we're wanting you to think of all those COVID expressions, because they'll help you for our team of the week, which is the COVID 11. So we had PPE Eindhoven as the team name. Richard Cough,
yeah.
Right, get in there. And the Rangers fans, of course, would have been singing Furlough. If you remember,
well, I'm
Furlough.
going to go with Zorro, Stevie Maskery.
Oh, the masks, of course, right. So you get the idea.
Should I also say Spready Dandaloo?
Spready Dandaloo. Right, so you get the idea. All those weird and wonderful words and phrases at the time of COVID. It's almost like a wee memory test. Can you get them to fit into our team of the week? The week in football itself, International Women's Day, a safe pair of hands, and we're going to have a mystery item in the second half which may or may not involve Chris Martin of Coldplay.
Yeah, well, indeed, you're right, because our guests are with us, and they are Judith Ralston and Grado. The Great Escape, one of the various different theme tunes for it, and Judith and Grado are presenting Great Escapes in Scotland. Judith, give us the theory about what the show's actually about.
Okay, well, we're looking for some unusual places to stay that are right on our doorsteps in Scotland. And each week over the series, there's five episodes, we explore different parts of the country. And it was a real eye-opener for me and Grado, I have to say. We went to Dumfries and Galloway, which, a lot of people just bypass. That was brilliant, wasn't it, Grado? It was fabulous. So it's about exploring different... You've got a sort of high market, and high end of the market, places to stay, middle of the road and something cheap and cheerful. Or in a tent, as we did at one point. But it was so... But it's not a competition like the first two series. This is just us exploring and giving our opinions and experiences as well, including the toilet with the old... what was it? Wood shavings. Remember?
Aye, we went to places where, because obviously very environmental friendly, they want you to
do your
the toilet, you need to take care of it with the sawdust, and it was a bit of a carry on, but it was an eye opener.
That was a week I didn't go once.
Well, you mentioned you're having it in the toilet area. The headline and the feature by Mark Bandoris and today's Scottish Sun. I got so close to Judith for the weather, we broke one together.
Is that the people that day?
Grado, would you mind explaining that?
Right, so it was one of the last days I filmed.
Very last thing we
went to watch. What kind of birds were these?
They were red kites.
Red kites, and we were to sit.
Rhyming slang, no?
No, it's not. And we sat for hours and hours waiting for these birds to come down and eat the meat. And it was a long day, wasn't it? It was a long day.
And the couple next to us started arguing because obviously it was getting longer and longer. And Grado started to look at me and make me laugh. So I'm trying, and at this point I'm harbouring a broken ankle, so I'm hobbling around. So as he's making me laugh so much, making faces at me as we were sitting there waiting for these kites to come out, I stood up to sort of pull my skirt down and stuff like that.
She let off.
I wouldn't stop.
Judith, for the weather's just farted me.
The cameraman's arms went up and down, but then he came back with one to me. So.
I bet you it smelt like Parma violets.
Yeah, I bet.
Chanel, darling, Chanel. But
I wonder if Susan Calman, Alan Cumming and Miriam Margolis did that.
Did you bump into all them? We've got all these,
folk tours in Scotland
now.
We'll have to get a show with you two. We'll invite you along next time if there's a next time.
Oh, well, there we go. So when can we better get the plug in properly? That's why you're on the show.
Yes, when is it out? Monday night, isn't it?
Monday. First airing is Monday at 10:30.
It's dropped on Monday.
That's the term. I've heard that term and I quite like it.
It drops on Monday.
Drops.
Right.
I've got it right.
And it's it drops. But it's one of these ones as well, like it's the full series gets uploaded as well now,
right?
And
so you can binge it.
You can binge it. You can watch the full 5 episodes in the one gone. If you want.
So it's Monday.
Has it changed your attitude to Scotland in any way?
Oh, well, I'm so proud of my country.
Yeah,
but. I must say, the view. Every start of every series program, we went to a different view of the area where we were staying, and every time we were blown away, almost speechless.
Well, you've told us that before.
Just come back from the Windy City, but it was so breathtakingly beautiful, wasn't it? It really was.
You know what, Judith, and I think Stuart, for all the issues you had with your health there the past few months, if that's made you maybe focus on the rest of your life, you always said to me, and it's mainly because you don't drive, that you reckon you'd missed out. Joy of joys of maybe seeing wee pockets of Scotland.
Well, you know what? I got a lovely letter this morning from one of our regular listeners, Jan the Staggy, who's up there in Dingwall. And I've been to away games at Ross County, and that's the furthest north I've ever been in Scotland to a football match. And there are whole bits of Scotland that I now think, you clown you. You've actually not even visited your own country as you're travelling the world looking at others.
And again, if you're talking about great escapes as well, a wee story that I picked up on the day. How good does this sound? There are 3 jobs that have come up, well-paid jobs as well, as advertised at the Plockton Inn in Plockton. And the way this was made into a wee story for one of the papers was in terms of, if you just fancied that kind of idyllic lifestyle, maybe a break, the hustle and the bustle of potholes and taxis tooting their horn. You got up to Plockton. Have you been there? Right?
Did we go there?
No, we didn't. I've been there. You've been there.
Right.
Not
and,
together.
You know, I just a beautiful, beautiful place for listeners at home. Maybe saying, I've heard of Plockton. It was Hamish Macbeth. Territory, of course. Judith will have it in many a weather map. But there you go. There's 3 jobs at the Plockton Inn.
Oh.
That might appeal to somebody that's listening just now.
I'm a good barmaid as well.
That you, yeah.
I've certainly done a few hours manning the bar.
Manning the bar,
as a student.
very good.
But one of
And
the
what was your
places-
speciality? If you
I'm
were
good
in for
at filling a
drink?
pint. And I worked in a
Heavy
bar.
tops?
No. It'd be very funny. A Pink Panther, do you remember those?
No.
You know what that is?
A
That was
Pink Panther?
half cider, half lager with a bit of. That was my first drink.
Wow.
With a bit of black currant in the top.
Grado, your desert island drink, what would it be? You're only allowed to drink one drink for the rest of your life.
One drink for the rest of my life. I would say I'm going to go for. Well, I really like my Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
I like Jack Daniels and Diet Coke.
That's
I
fine.
would say, aye. That's probably about
This
it.
man,
Nothing really
Cosgrove,
exciting.
tell them, when did you last have a drink?
Last night.
Right, there we go. Lovely, right, 8:02. I thought you hadn't had one
I
for
hadn't
months.
had a drink for nearly a year.
Right.
And it's quite funny, actually. One of our regular listeners who didn't leave his or her names left me a little goodie bag when I got over my illness, and in it was 2 cans of Guinness. And I thought, you know what, I fancy a wee Guinness. And I poured it last night and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good. Ruined my day in Dublin, you remember that?
Aye.
1999, Stuart was going to a Channel 4 conference thing in Dublin, but crafty old Fox, St Johnstone were also doing a wee pre-season tour.
Yeah.
Run about that area, right? Nice wee places like Bray and everywhere. So Stuart says to me, you want to come out? He says, I can get you sorted out in a hotel through Channel 4. Chief O'Neill's, you remember that, Stuart?
I do,
It was a
yeah.
newly opened boutique hotel in Dublin. It's beautiful, right? But in the first day we were there, Stuart went away to his conference thing with Channel 4, and I was a wee bit nervous, you know, the guy from Motherwell abroad, and I thought, I'm not going to stray too far. Well, I didn't. I went down to the bar in the hotel, and I thought, when in Rome, a pint of Guinness, please, right? I'd never had a sip of Guinness, but I thought, I've got to do it. I'd never been to Dublin before. One wee sip, not really for me, but persevered. Cut a long story short, I'd 4 pints of Guinness. That was that. 4 pints of Guinness in the bar, into a coma. And I woke up the next day in my room, and that was it. So I've never touched
drink
it
spiked?
since. No.
Somebody
Just,
tried
it
to take
wasn't for
advantage
me.
of you.
It was like Benelin to me. I crashed out.
It's a
Couldn't
heavy
he?
drink,
It
isn't
is. Very heavy.
And it can get right through you as well, I think.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you wouldn't sit next to each other wherever you were.
No.
After 6 pints of Guinness.
You would not.
Deary me.
Judith,
Yes, darling.
I had a wee bit, as you came into the studio, I had a wee bit of kind of nervousness in my voice. Are you Ralston or Ralston?
I always say Ralston, but my husband says Ralston, so I'll let him.
So
I say Ralston.
Ralston, it's Ralston.
Yeah.
Down Paisley.
But you know, it's like with my maiden name, Toner. Everybody would say Toner, but it was actually Toner.
Toner,
I just
yeah.
feel I've never had.
Right.
never had a name
And
that
Just big
Grado,
Judith for
there
the
was
weather.
no unanimity.
Grado, we need to go. You're a big Rangers fan. I mean, tell the truth. Could
No,
you
I
have
didn't say
envisaged?
that. No. I mean, I was like everybody else, kind of going, I can't wait to see Mourinho and Ferguson. But I can't get over it. It's funny because you think to yourself, on Sunday, I wanted their players, lined up and pasted.
Aye.
And then the difference in them on Thursday night. And what I kind of got, I don't know if it's true, but I get sent a text that apparently Sir Alex Ferguson attempted 7 times to beat Jose Mourinho away from him, and he never managed it.
Oh, that's
and,
a great
and
start.
Ferguson's done it.
Ferguson's done it.
I mean,
Aye.
it's only half time, right?
Aye.
But
So tell us about that. Are we making too much of this thing? It's as if, you know, if you'd almost be under the impression that Rangers have never won a game at Ibrox for 4 years. You know, that's a nonsense. But is there a genuine wee bit of panic thinking we can't perform the same way, certainly in Europe at home, than we can away from home, and this tie is far from over?
I think they're making a wee bit too much about that. I know what you're saying. A lot of the times the players at Ibrox, they come under
Too much early criticism, yeah.
Scrutiny right off the bat. But I think because Barry's there, I don't think it'll be like that next week. I think the atmosphere's going to be
Positive.
aye.
Yeah.
I think they're going to.
Are you going?
I don't know yet. I've not got a ticket. But it's going to be difficult. But I think they can do it. I really, really do. But what I'm glad about is that we're not playing this weekend.
Aye.
You're upset.
And you did get a ticket for Elaine C. Smith's.
I did.
Freedom of the City ceremony at the City Chambers last night. And a great photo that I saw you with that, and it's done the rounds in the social media, is you sitting with your two wives. So you've got Joy McAvoy,
Yes.
who's your wife in Two Doors Down.
Yes.
And then you've got your own lovely wife.
Yes.
Could you name check her, please?
Yes, my wife Stephanie Stevely. So I forgot I put that up last night. And I woke up and I thought, I'm all right posting that, Stephanie. Me and my two wives. Was it all?
Aye.
Oh, but-
If I put a gun to your head and you were only allowed to pick one of them, who'd you go for? I know who. He told me before.
I know.
Exactly right. No. That was silly. I love my wife, my real wife,
Right,
She's lovely.
and hopefully I'll get to spend a lot more time with my TV wife.
Right, so listen.
You trying to tell us something?
No,
No.
No, I'm
Judith,
Watch what you
Judith.
say.
Aye,
You know what?
aye.
We're going to
Bad
come
for
out.
that.
He's done this with me before. We're
Aye.
going to come out at the end of the show. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
I know.
Right,
I know.
tell us this
I'm actually-
instead.
Okay.
Judith, I want to ask you an honest question. You're one of the stars of weather reporting obviously on BBC Scotland. Callum has left us this week, I noticed. His contract has come to an end. To be honest, I thought he was edging you out a wee bit. I
Well,
thought he was
there's plenty of room for everybody, but I think he is a star.
I think he was
I
a
love-
breath of fresh
Very,
air.
very
Yes.
talented.
I totally agree, and I brought him in, and I'm delighted to say that management loved him, and they still do. I think down the line he is the future of BBC Scotland Weather. If I'm honest, this is
Yeah.
my opinion, but he is so generous, a really lovely guy. He's just unique, isn't he?
Oh,
And
he's
that's what-
incredible.
And you need
Yeah.
that in weather. You need that
Yeah.
personality too. No, I have no problem with him edging me out.
No?
No, of course not. There's room for everybody. I'm at that age.
Come on.
You do feel when you're older, you want to see young ones come on. And
Now listen,
he's not very
He's a
old.
performer. I could imagine them building a show around him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He'll get his own BBC Scotland show.
Oh, no touring Scotland. Looking
Ah,
for
no.
places you've not been before.
another one.
Yeah, but you must get him on soon because he's
We
really,
should.
he's got a good chat. You
I
know?
say to Stephen Purden, I think he's Shell Suit Bob's evil twin. I think there's similarities there between wee Bob.
Aye.
And do you know what?
I know what you mean. I
Are
know
we
what
the
you
same
mean.
kind of height and stuff
We
like that?
asked the question. I wonder if you can answer it. Remember, this came up. You asked when we had the two girls in a couple of weeks ago who were promoting the Chief, Jack
Oh,
Walker,
that's
the
funny.
follow-up to Scott Squad. What we asked is, and it was because Shell Suit Bob's name came up, Stephen Purden, and we were trying to wonder when is the last time
He
on
actually
screen
wore a shell suit.
wore a shell suit. When do you reckon that would have been? Grego?
Well, it's funny because I've asked that before. Apparently, you all right?
Sorry,
Are you okay?
Apparently,
He coughs through every show.
what I was going to say is, he's not got a cough button, by the way, no?
A cough button.
Aye, no, he's not got one then. Well, we've got one. We go ready, we just touch it. And
Where?
It's
Radio?
Go radio. Yeah, and you think you're going to have a cough button on Hospital Radio. That makes sense.
Oh, good one.
Bob only wore a shell suit, I think, in like the first episode that he ever done in River City, and he never wore one again until he wrestled my character.
Oh.
So I came into River City for 8 episodes, 8 of the
no.
finest River City
Outstanding,
episodes. They were
BAFTA
great, they were
award
great.
winning.
And where I played a wrestler, and we had a event where it was Buster versus Shell Suit Bob, and Bob got the old retro trackie on, and I kind of flung him about in the wrestling ring. It was a brilliant episode. I'd love to see that back again.
Don't let a gift horse in the mouth here. Yourself and Stephen, you've got a show coming up.
right.
Perry, you want a wee plug for that?
I wear shell suits and spandex. We're travelling around the country in June, so that's with Breakneck Comedy. So very much looking forward to that. I think we're going everywhere as well, up and down the country. So talking about stories for Two Doors Down and the wrestling and him being in River City. So tickets.
Right. Now, listen, whether it's Stephen Purden or whether it's wee Callum, I'm talking up a lot of the males here, but International Women's Day. Congratulations.
Thank you
Judith.
very much. I'll just take
your
that
hat
for the
trick.
ladies.
We're looking for your hat trick of your 3 top women. We want one involved in football, right? We want one from the world at large, a singer, an entertainer, anything you want. And we want one that's close to your own heart. It could be a friend, a relative, a neighbour, anything. Grado, we'll start with you. Who's your top 3 and why?
Well, the sports one, I am going to say, and I'm not just saying this because you put me under a bit of a kind of thing with my missus and my my telly.
Good lady wife.
My wife was involved in the very first Rangers ladies team.
All right.
2005, 2006.
Yeah.
So she was right into her football when she was younger. So and she was a great football player, but I don't know what happened. I think she eventually started going to college and she became a nurse. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say her for my sports person, sportswoman.
Right, okay. You're a woman at large. Any woman on the planet that you've always admired, you've always enjoyed, you might even have had poster
His
up in your
second
wall.
wife for 2 doors down.
Well, I did want to mention about Elaine C. Smith,
Right.
Because I think Elaine is incredible. The characters that she's had on the telly over the years, for Mary Doll, and then on 2 Doors Down is Christine. I think that character is the lead on that show. There's a lot of leads on that show that are all females. Actually, when you think about it, there's Arabella Weir, there's Doon, and there's Joy. But Elaine, I love to bits, and especially with her charity work that she does as well.
Did she not do a big show down in the West End on the stage?
Calendar Girls.
Calendar
Yeah,
Girls.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the night of that's why I could have put her in there as well, the night of my 40th birthday down there. I told you that, Stuart. Me and my wife, we were down in London for my 40th and we went to see Calendar Girls. And I think I'd mentioned it in the show the week before I went down. And then Elaine contacted me and she got me and my wife, because it was my 40th, up into one of the boxes.
This show is not grounds for begging tickets.
Oh, I know.
Grado's been at it, you've been at it.
My turn.
Terrible.
And all I was going to say is that, of course, being up in the box and seeing Calendar Girls, they do a chunk of it in the nuddy. And when you're up in the Royal
That's
Box,
like
you
my
can-
idea of absolute.
You know what I mean?
H-E-L-L.
Right, and what about, you've got one to go then, Grado, one that's just dear to your heart. You've already mentioned your wife here, so where are you going with this one?
I suppose
Relative, neighbour?
my mum. My
Your
mum's
mum?
no longer with us, but I would say my mum. She inspired me very much when she was. She died in 2017, and obviously she's missed the birth of my Waynes, and she's missed she missed me on the telly as well. She never saw me in 2 Doors
We
Down.
spoke a lot about that when we were out and about,
She
didn't
was
we?
a big, massive 2 Doors Down fan. It was her that put me onto it. She goes, "You need to watch this thing on a Monday night. Wee Johnny Watson plays this character where he wears the Armani gear, and he doesn't fly for Glasgow Airport, he flies for Manchester Airport." And I thought, what's this? And I started watching it, and it became a thing that's what I went round to my mum's today, was to go and watch 2 Doors Down. And then sadly she passed away about 2 months before my episode came out with 2 Doors Down. So that always kind of was a wee bit kind of
And
heartbreaking.
a lighter note, your dad, whether he meant it or not, kind of kept her very much alive, didn't he?
Yes, yeah. And I think he still does it.
Explain that to us.
Aye, so basically, my dad still uses my mum's Facebook account.
All right.
So I could be sitting on Facebook, and I'll never forget the first time that I saw it. I think it was like when Dundee United get relegated, and BBC on the Facebook page had posted the news, and there was a comment from Maureen Steveley, who had died 3 years previous. Beauty. Yeah, beauty. And he's been murdered for it for years, because I went into one of his messages one day, and he was haggling with a woman for Troon to get a mobility scooter, right? Because he doesn't really walk well, and he's gone. The person that was selling a mobility scooter was for Troon, and he's gone, he's writing with my mum's name, "You from Troon, one of the most affluent areas in Scotland, give me good price, me from Stevenston, one of most deprived areas." And the person replied, "Look, it's £300, take it or leave it." And he replied, "But my son Grado."
Oh.
And the person replied again, "Well, get your boaty pie for it then."
Yeah.
And this was, believe it or not, during lockdown. And he replied, "He no got panto this year, he's skint."
Is your dad Chinese?
Chinese, aye, that's what I thought. Aye.
No, I'm reading the way that
He's printing it, aye.
because he does that even with the WhatsApps. Now I like a wee WhatsApp voice note. You're right into it now.
Aye.
Right, get right into it now.
Does he send you a name as
All
well
the
then?
time.
Aye.
I think it's better. But see, my father talks to it as if it gets translated.
Right,
So he'll
right.
go, "Got you a steak pie for Saturday, okay?" Rather than just going, "Oh, I've got your steak pie for Saturday."
Right, you know what? You're a lucky boy, because I'm going to give you the hat. Forget the hat trick for International Women's Day. We'll come to Judith's choices in a second. But I'm giving you a hat trick of plugs, because you did mention Panto there. And the posters are up already, aren't they? For
Jock the Beanstalk,
Aye.
yeah, back again at the Pavilion Theatre. That'll be my 9th year. It's Jock the Beanstalk.
I went to see it, the one at Christmas time. It's the first time I've been to a Pavilion Panto, actually, and I thought it was terrific. Absolutely terrific.
Yeah, wait. Well, but you know, you get these people that put their Christmas tree up in November and get slaughtered. They're advertising pantos.
yeah, aye. They're all up, and I thought that, I'll tell you, the first one that I saw was for the King's Theatre. They were out really quickly, even it was last
I
year,
saw
They do that now.
even when there were still shows remaining for
And
that
they sell
one.
out so fast,
And I
eh?
looked at it and I thought, oh, somebody's boobed, somebody's got that wrong. They've got the wrong name in the panto this year. And then I looked closer and it was saying 2025.
Yeah.
You know, so
Is that because there's more like bus bookings, a school outings?
get that in early, why not? Did your mum get to see you in the panto?
Aye, it was the
Oh,
first
that's a
one that I
shame.
done.
Right, Judith,
Do you know what?
What?
See, me and me Bob, we sat every day, right? Thanks for coming, Judith. But we said, I wonder how Tam's not coming this year. Every day we'd go, you heard of Tam? You never came here this year, didn't you know?
didn't he?
I
I'm
know.
not going to lie, I could have said I was up the back, you know, the rest of it.
I know,
But
you just never
Oh, it
came.
was
I know.
terrific. It was
the last
really
week we're
good.
going-
I'll be honest with you, I was there the previous year, I thought it was poor. Right, Judith.
Aye.
Judith, your top three. No, don't start, 'cause I never get through to see Big Grant either. I was a busy boy.
That's an Edinburgh one, but
You know,
it's just
I
round the corner.
know. Right, I'll be there. There you go. I'm glad the adverts are out
You should be
already.
taking your wee girl to
I'll
see
be
her.
there front and
See her.
centre.
That's what I
Okay.
offered him. I says, we'll get his wee lass in backstage.
She's
So
old
he's-
now. She's
Ah,
no
she's a
interest in
teenager
that
now,
panto.
right?
See,
Talk
when
about
they
that,
go
I've got a
to
teenage girl's lunch today.
Who's this? Sabrina? Somebody?
Sabrina Capital tomorrow night.
Aye.
Well, one of my stepdaughter's going out tomorrow night. And did you see her performance of the Brits?
I don't know who
I
she
mean,
is.
see her there go. Oh, Judith, they all love her. She's
Aye.
Right.
she's a new Taylor
Okay,
Swift.
got you.
She's kind of overtaken Sabrina Capital, so she's going to be in Glasgow the months now.
Sabrina Capita.
Yeah,
She's like a young Clodagh Rogers.
Margarita Pakistan.
Fantastic.
Margarita Prakata.
Right, come on. We've held half enough here, Judith. Your top three women on International Women's Day.
Top three women.
Start with in football. No.
Oh,
You've got a passing interest in football. Have you got a woman in football?
I'm a big fan of Jen Beattie because obviously I know the family. John's a good mate and
a
his
great
lovely
life
wife.
story.
Yeah, I think she's terrific. She's bounced back, and I've watched interviews, I watched the programme about her, and I just think she's showed amazing strength and
Yep.
resilience.
And she's
a
done it
fine
at the
player.
top level, plays for Scotland, plays down in the English leagues. So, yeah, Jen's a good...
Oh, I'm bumping. Sorry, Leanne, if you're tuned in. I'm getting Leanne Dempster away and replacing her with another Leanne, Crichton.
Crichton, yeah.
And I'll tell
Who
you why.
captained Motherwell.
Predictive text that came back to haunt me this week. He's and she's. No, how whatever one of those two you've typed the most, that's the one that it'll put up, and
Aye.
you don't always notice it. So Leanne, it was the birthday of her wee baby daughter.
Yeah.
That's daughter, and I had put up he's. And I, just by way of a joke, son, like, he's got Faddy's eyes or something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Something like that. And she just get back, that way, 2 asterisks, she's 2 asterisks. You know what I mean? And so, Leanne, if you're tuned in, because you can't do that with a wee baby, and it's hard enough for me. It's a minefield. Anyhow, my wife will back me up in this. Walking down streets of that, you see somebody that's maybe just had a baby, and you get you've no idea what the sex is because I am very badly colourblind. So the whole pram might be daubed in pinks and all that. My eyes don't tell me that.
No,
So I've
I
made that
remember-
mistake before.
14 years ago, I was walking down Byres Road
Yeah.
with my double buggy with the twins, and not long had them. There's Tam coming towards me with a baby. And I said, I didn't even know you were exactly the same age, Sophie and my twins, eh?
That's right,
We
yeah,
went to
and they were
nursery
at the
together.
nursery
Well-
Kept
together.
that quiet.
At the catastrophic game against Hungary, where Hungary scored in the very last minute,
Yeah.
I had a very drunken Martin Compston to my left and Leanne Crichton's baby to my right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Aye. Right, there we go.
Babysitting, were you?
I was, yeah.
Now, Judith, come on. So you've got Jen Beattie.
Okay. and-
She'll be delighted with that. That's Judith Ralston's football woman for International Women's Day. One for the world at large. Entertainment.
I was a huge admirer of the opera singer Jessie Norman.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So she was when I was a young singer. I read everything about her because that's what you did in those days. I got books about her. Every single album that came out that she had.
Let me just test Tam on this because he likes spelling anomalies. Spell her first name.
Jessie.
Yeah.
Right, so it's clearly no J-E-S-S-I-E. So I'm going to go with J-E-S-S-Y.
E.
Oh, is that right?
Big Jessie Norman.
J-E-S-S-Y-E.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
She was a
Right.
huge, and I still, her voice melts me in her interpretations of Strauss and Mahler, and
Aye.
just,
Oh, do you like a bit of classical music?
we got into it, didn't we?
I mean, you're classically trained.
I am.
Yeah.
Aye, and she's. But what happened with that?
I had a very bad experience in my training with a teacher. I mean, it was a teacher who wrecked my voice, basically. So it's like being an athlete and you're trained in the wrong way, and it just, the injury happened
So he, kind
overnight.
of he ran your voice into the ground.
Yeah, basically, very, very quickly. So
And you had done it on purpose.
no, he just was.
Just hopeless.
Yeah, I mean, there's no qualifications in singing, teaching singing.
Right.
Believe it or not.
And sorry, complete your hat trick, Judith. Somebody for your own life.
Okay.
Friend, neighbour,
Yeah,
family.
I'm going to say my wee granny, who I didn't appreciate really at the time. She was 4'8". She battled through that war after losing her husband. Her mother died in childbirth. She was from travelling stock. She's related to the great Jeannie Robertson, the folk singer.
Yeah.
She encouraged me to sing, to dance, to perform. You know, when you get to be a teenager, I can't be bothered going to see Granny. I wish now, Granny, this is for you. I had, because it was her that encouraged me to just be who I am. And, you know, she had a really, really tough life. There was no pensions in those days. My dad said she was scrambling for coal with her nails in the back of the coal lorry because there's nothing to heat the house. And I look back and think how resilient she was and how... So I think I get I see myself quite like her in a way, in a lot of ways. And
when did she pass away?
she passed away when I was about 18.
Right.
Now,
So
Tom-
Century.
she missed the Judith Ralston that everybody knows and loves. Yeah, she never saw a
You
bit of
didn't
that.
see that, no.
Does it make you think that maybe her bonhomie with Sally Magnuson's fake then?
Sally was in my mind, actually. You know, I'm a big fan of Sally's as well. She's a talented lady and good fun.
Okay, still to come on Off the Ball, the team of the week and the Terrathing Teether. I saw a wonderful headline in an Ayrshire newspaper, and it was "New Cumnock man to manage Rangers." And that would have made Billy very, very happy, because he hates when folks say Cumnock.
My friend Gordon, but not Gordon Banks, not the goalkeeper. I want to be your friend too, okay? Good luck to you.
For a start, we've got Kenny McIntyre coming in, right? And he's looking for 2 new knees after begging Barry Ferguson all week for a gig at Rangers. Willie Miller's been on saying, "Hi, Professor, I've had a torn face for 40 years. Can you assist?" It was a kind of fringy player at the Bertie Vogts era, but it was definitely somebody with Scotland caps.
Well, that narrows it down to
And it-
300.
I know.
Off the ball. You can repeat it, but you can't beat it.
Mandito, yeah, we had him. We you crowd to stereophonics. Lost Prophet, Chick Stevens. And Charlotte Chechamon. Makes me wet the him and rugby done. Justin Kearney Chance. He Wilkinson and Robinson. Cause really none on pan.
It's 8:40.
Joy, Chris Boyles and Homana Radio.
Yes, Kenny is with us. Kenny, we've been missing up on goal updates in the Aberdeen game.
Yeah, 2-0 to Aberdeen, 2 quick-fire goals just before the half-hour mark. Kevin Nisbet, who's found a bit of form again.
Yep,
He looked a bit
yep.
short in confidence. No doubt he's got plenty of ability. And their new striker, De Bag, also on the score sheet. So it looks a long way back for Callum Davidson.
Grado, it was your only chance of getting domestic silverware. You must be scunnered to hear that.
I think everybody expected that. That's just what happens. But that just shows you that the other night and Thursday in Fenerbahce, this was a team that get beat off Queen's Park, a team that get beat off Motherwell. What happened?
I was on the other night, I said, make it make sense. How on earth can they do it on these Thursday nights in Europe? And then some of against the Motherwells in the studio last week, dreadful. Against St Mirren, dreadful. Queen's Park, we've spoken a lot about that.
Although I have to say though, hats off to Motherwell because they were brilliant last week.
Still, they deserved it.
And when you hear Andy Halliday had apparently effectively, quote, spilt the beans on Michael Wimmer's tactics going into that game, and when he was on a podcast this week with wee Cy Ferry, and he basically just told the guys what Michael Wimmer had told the players and how he'd set them up and all that, and it sounded already as if he's got his head round the Motherwell job, you know what I mean? So bring it
very
on.
impressive.
Let me ask you, I've got 2 football questions for you. First up, Kenny, is it Fenerbahce or Fenerbahce?
Well, I say Fenerbahce, but I have heard people say other things. So Fenerbahce is what we said in sports.
And here's the hard one. The games, they're going to be on BBC Scotland, which is great. You'll be on those nights. We'll be on after the games. When we beat Greece, what happens next? Are we in the World Cup finals?
No, we stay in Nations League Group A. That's what we do. So we're playing them to stay in Nations League Group A. I love the way we do things in these.
And what
nights.
advantage does that bring us?
Well, you're playing against better opposition, aren't you? You know what I mean? You're getting to see good teams.
Yeah.
We saw Portugal, we saw Croatia, latterly, very, very good. So I think the players surely are going to get better playing against better players.
Yeah.
And on these nights, I love the way we do it in the
Or
and
get
handed
pumped
you guys. It's
playing
good.
against better players.
Well, maybe, but it's great news for
Is it the
all
story
football fans, isn't it?
the story that I accidentally let slip in the first hour of the show? We can bring it in now, but Chris Martin of Coldplay, he's basically been invited by FIFA, presumably, and they're going to do a Super Bowl style half time at the World Cup final in 2026. And he's been asked, right, you know your music, you pick the acts, right? Now, first up, would you be up for something like that? Or do you think it's a bit too razzmatazzy American?
Everything's getting Americanised now, isn't it?
Right.
It's the same.
Still doing the wrestling, right?
I think, believe it or not, Tom, I actually do think wrestling's got a big significance when it comes to how sports are presented now. See, like the darts.
Yeah.
That's all came for the wrestling.
Yeah.
See, the entrance music and stuff.
What was your walk-on music?
Like a prayer.
Aye.
Like a prayer Madonna.
Absolutely. The politics, has that influenced us in any way?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm looking forward to the new show, 2 Sweets Down.
By the way, in terms of, we love how when folk are out there just to troll people and all that, you know. Now, we have given, at the top of the show there, and we'd given Rangers loads and loads of praise here at the top of the show, well deserved as well. And you know my theory as well, Kenny. I need a Scottish team before I'll even watch a European game, you know what I mean? So I hope Rangers get to the final now, frankly. But Murdo Fraser, I mean, was it a cry for help or what? He went on, knowing that folk were going to react. There has never been a Scottish team get a result like that ever. That's what he said in the back of that.
He's very active on Twitter when Rangers are playing.
Murdo, if you're tuned in, things to look up on YouTube would include Dundee United playing Barcelona several times, Rangers winning a final, your own Rangers team in 72, Celtic, you might have heard of that in 67, Aberdeen, Real Madrid, for goodness sake, you know. Was he just looking for...
Oh, he's a troll. He ends up with the Queen's 11 and that. He's trying to noise people up.
Right.
But I feel as if he's one of the...
And it worked.
There
we go.
But I feel he's one of the guys that, you know, if you asked him, how did they play last night? Oh, well, you know, they kicked the ball well. I don't think do you know what I mean? I don't think he knows much about...
No.
But anyway, listen, so Kenny, we're going to let you get the plug-in momentarily for... No, momentarily, presently, for Sports Sound. Judith is already, if you're wondering why she's gone so quiet, she was reading
about
every inch of that feature by Matt Bandoris in the Scottish Sun this morning. And we're talking about the week in football, apart from Rangers, Fenerbahce. The Scottish Cup weekend, Kenny's telling us Aberdeen are 2-0 up. Kenny, 2 things here as well. I don't know what to make of it. Last night, Hearts were playing at home to Dundee, whilst Hearts were playing at home to the Braves in the Lowland League.
Yeah,
there must have been folk there that were at one of those games that wanted to beat the other one.
There's been a lot of
family
opposition to the B
reasons,
teams.
anything.
A lot of people don't see the value of the B teams.
No, get it on.
Yeah,
and can you think of a way, Kenny? We're putting a lot of pressure on you. We're asking you everything. This return leg, Arsenal PSV. It should not happen. Surely we've got the brains, surely we've got the will, surely we've got the desire to find a way of just wiping out that second leg.
You wouldn't want to be paying money for that, would you?
No,
I wouldn't have thought. I mean,
Tam's always against two-leg football,
Yeah,
though.
absolutely.
really?
Yeah. He doesn't like this, so it's only half-time stuff. It says,
I like that about the new Champions League